Let's first of all, let's bend both knees, put both elbows. Find this possibility of pressing the right hand into the floor and allowing your clavicle to come forward and toward your sternum. Find that hinge. That's it. And then the left, just that. And that when one side of you lifts away from the floor, the other side presses into the floor. So that you see if you can find that, that's it, that you don't have a plate across your chest. Do you see what I mean? Do my words start to make a little bit more sense? That something comes, so that the right side of your chest and the left side of the chest do not stay on the same level. One would be closer to the ceiling than the other. And for that, you need ribs that can move relative to your sternum, one side forward, one side backward. And then you feel this big principle in physics or in our work, in order for something to become light, come away from the floor, something else has to press. Yeah. So was the limitation in your muscle or in your brain? Brain. Who said that? All right. Rest a little bit. Rest a little bit. Yeah. I can't bring that down, and I'm not sure if it's the arm or it's actually it's yeah. All right, so let's do it on one side and the other, and maybe you do it on your easy side then, okay? So we're going to come out of this position. Well, you're bending it, but all right. So now just the right arm in a bridge and the right leg in a bridge. And make the diagonal from your right foot to your left shoulder and back. And by the way, in this movement now, when you only have one knee bent, why is it so much easier? It's easier for many reasons, but it's much easier than the two arms, isn't it? Because you can use much more rotation, which is what a lot of people like to use. But also, take a moment now to also feel if there's been any help from what Margaret did with you yesterday. Some things with your feet, your ankles, your hip joints. Would it be a little bit more possible now for your knee and elbow to go away from each other? And start thinking of yourself a little bit more as a skeleton, means how the movement is passing through your bones. And keep reducing the effort. And then play with the initiation where the foot and the hand both press into the floor at the same time. And find out if it's true that the middle gets lighter and the head gets lighter. All right, now some of you are starting to feel what it means for your head to be lighter, and that the idea of the back of the head going through the gap is not so, well, it makes more sense in your experience now. Good. And do you think of passing through the diagonal and coming back home? Keep on making it lighter, easier. Let the belly go. Put your left arm long overhead. This time take the eyes as if to see the fingers of the left hand. Let your jaw open. Let your abdomen protrude. Remember that point where I touched Trish at the bottom of her sternum, and then it affected the shoulders, everything. There you go. That's it. So push your belly out all the way down to as low as you can. That's nice. What does that change? Don't, yeah. You're rotating. You're coming out of the form of the lesson. That's it. Keep your knee vertical and rest a little bit. Rest a little bit. So I'll talk for a minute to give you a longer rest. I was speaking to somebody in the group yesterday. It was a man, and I even know his name, but I won't say. I don't need to say it right now. But he was saying that he thought that what we were doing this week was going into more details than a lot of the ATMs he'd been listening to on various DVDs. And so just to make it really, I really want to state this. The people that you will teach do not need to have all this deconstructing that I'm doing today. And in fact, Moshe had this idea that you just leave people in the groups, you don't correct them, you don't help them, you just leave them to study and educate their own sensation and find their way. But he also made a distinction with us because we were going to become teachers, that we had to know more than the people in the groups. So I just want to make it clear so that when you go and you teach your groups, you do a kind of, if you do head through the gap, you'll do it more like I did it on the first day. Very simple, a little of this, a little of that, something's interesting, something's better, it feels nice. But we're going into it with a fine-tooth comb, all the details. So I just you don't need to teach the public that way, but it's because, we're training you to understand and feel and go as far as you can in your own organization, and then you'll bring something to others through your own experience, but not all this necessarily analytical stuff. Change over the arms and put the left foot on the ground, the left arm in a bridge. Now, to begin with, make the smallest movement you can to initiate from the left foot to pass the weight diagonally toward the right shoulder and back, just that. And then in that tiny little movement, begin to feel how it influences the left shoulder, the left hip. Think of the movement of one side of the chest. As the left side of the chest becomes unweighted, the clavicle can be free to come forward, the hand pushing. The right side of yourself now pressing into the floor, the weight going in the opposite direction of the left side. Think of yourself three-dimensionally. The sternum turning, sliding, and lifting. Has all those possibilities. Okay. Keep reducing the effort. It's getting more skeletal, isn't it? Just keep reducing the effort. And then let it grow little by little. Feel which part do you leave out? Is it your abdomen? Is it your jaw? Is it the part of your spine in between your shoulder blades? Or is it you're beginning to be more and more your entire self? It's easier if the face is at least turned really to the right. To the right. it's just an easier starting point. The transmission of force from the hand down and the foot up, and the movement of the whole shoulder girdle. Turn your face the other way. Turn your nose to the wall on the right and let the back of the head. Try toward the end of the movement to really push the belly out and feel which part of yourself is helped by that. All right, good. Cramp? Just lie and rest a minute. Roll your head right and left. Feel how far down your spine you feel the turning of your head. Where does the movement of the head begin? Bend both knees and put both arms in a bridge. And just for a moment, you imagine, in your imagination only, you imagine alternating, taking your head through the gap, once to the right and once to the left, very, very quickly. So first you might have to imagine just doing it one side the other, and then in your imagination only, you speed it up faster and faster. If the position of the arms is too difficult for you, you can do it with one arm only, but otherwise you see if you can do it. Try to have your forearms vertical. And faster and faster and faster. How fast can you do it in your imagination? You can feel the beginnings of the movement. Of course, we know now that the thinking and the doing are very intimately connected. And then when you feel that that's possible to imagine it like that, go ahead and do the movement a few times. Keep your breathing free. It can be very small. It can be just the beginning of it, the initiation. Small and fast. All right. Good. And rest. Bend your knees. Come up to sitting. Stand up. Walk around. And feel the connection between the bottom of your foot and the top of your head. How the transmission of force passes in walking now from the foot upward or from the hip joint upward. Is there a little bit less interference with the communication from the earth, the floor, through your upward? And there's a couple of people now who are smiling, so it means maybe you learned something. Just think, if we learn a little something, if we learn one thing each day, what a rich life that is, huh? And in trainings, we even get to learn sometimes 2 things a day. It's really magnificent. Have a nice break, and we'll continue on.